Welcome back to day 5 of 30 takes in 30 days. And before starting today, Derrick Rose just announced his retirement, and I just rewatched the 50-point game in Minnesota, and I want to say congratulations to the youngest MVP in league history, who deserved so much more success than his body was able to give him, and will always have the Dragic dunk and the Christmas Day floater over Powell, and even the banked game winner against Cavs. The 50-point night in Minnesota too. It's a bummer. The East in the 2010s go completely differently if he's healthy. That Bulls team was incredible, and they would have gone to battle against Miami for like 5 years. All the best in retirement, Derrick. So, to go on with the only NBA preview series brave enough to spend days talking about teams that no one cares about and will not matter, it's called Building Momentum. It's time to talk about the Charlotte Hornets. So far in this series, it's been about the tanking teams that have no incentive to win, or in Detroit's case, sold their soul in the early 2000s for a couple chips for which they are now paying the price of a curse. And today, I'm talking about the Charlotte Hornets, who, despite the fact that they are sponsored by a lead-based food product, allegedly, if healthy, they aren't going to be that bad. Well, that depends on one question. How many games does Lamelo Ball play? I wrote this before D Rose retired. Charlotte's season turned on its head in January 2024 when Lamelo went down again with an injury to the same ankle which has seen him play only 58 games in the last 2 seasons, and which he injured earlier in the season and missed 7 weeks for. Before Lamelo went down, he was averaging 24 points a game, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, nearly 2 steals, with shooting splits of 43.3, 35.5, and 86.5 in his 22 games. His numbers in the 2022-23 season, when he played 36 games, were actually a touch better. Heading into year 5 and still only 23 years old, we haven't had many chances to see how much Lamelo has improved from the low-calorie, high-volume shooter with selfish tendencies that came into the league. But even comparing his shot charts from the last 2 seasons, he's definitely more efficient. You can see a definite trend away from the mid-range and these shitty little elbow and mid-post stop and pops. And he's a much more accomplished driver now. On court, off court, he's still got some work to do. His at-rim field goal percentage on drives increased from 53% to 64%, and his percentage on unassisted shots between 3 and 10 feet of the hoop also went from 28% to 40%. And I'm working with low numbers here, but they're all I've got. And the numbers match the footage of a guy who is better at attacking the rim, is more comfortable going at large defenders, and playing through contact. The reason that he can get a full head of steam is because of his ridiculous average 3-point shot distance. This guy is dragging his defender well outside the arc, and if he can beat them on the dribble, he's got so much more room to work with. He always has the attention of at least 1.5 defenders. Send him a pick and you can create even more opportunities for him to score. In the first month of last season, he averaged 11.7 points per game with an effective field goal percentage of 54.9 as the ball handler in pick and roll situations, which led the league. With Lamelo on the court with Mark Williams, Miles Bridges, who should be in jail, and Brandon Miller last season, Charlotte outscored their opponent by 16.1 points per 100 possessions in 54 minutes of game time. I know I've just rattled off a bunch of stats, but here's what they say to me. This guy's game is built around being one of the best scorers in an action which is basically the foundation of every offensive possession in the game. When he's paired with the other members of the young core of this team, they outscore their opponents like crazy. He shoots slightly above league average from deep. He's only becoming more efficient. He's an absolute freak passer. We already knew that. And he keeps improving. Defensively, he has his moments. He's a 6'7" point guard. That's plenty to throw at an opponent, but the effort isn't always there. When young guys with a lot of potential get injured, there's always an element of nitpicking when you get into the stats. It's all small sample size, it's all upside, and the common refrain is, oh, show me 50 games, or give me a whole season, and kind of a prove-it sense. For Lamelo, it's absolutely, please, show me 50 games, and please, give me a whole season, because I just want to watch him play. This kid is so good. I'm not banking on Charlotte being all that good for reasons that I'll come to later, but if Lamelo is playing, they're at least going to be fun to watch. I think things are a little more solid around some of the other low-tier Eastern Conference teams, but I wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte are suddenly sitting in a play-in spot after All-Star if Lamelo can stay healthy. I've been low on Lamelo in the past, and I think unnecessarily so. I'm a bit protective of my point guard rankings. And now it's time to admit that I was wrong about another Charlotte Hornet, Brandon Miller, who I thought should have gone 3rd in last year's draft after Scoot, and who became a vastly matured player over the course of the season as his usage increased and he became a more central piece of the offense. He's already a very capable shooter. He can create his own shot or spot up. He shot 43% from deep in December, which is usually when the rookie wall hits. Miller is super slithery, working his way around screens at the top of the key, and he can read and react to the defense really well. He just throws his defender into all sorts of trouble. He also cares and was ready enough to yell at his teammates as a rookie. It's a shame that he was a rookie at the same time as Wemby because his season pales in comparison to like the best rookie season ever, but it was a great rookie season. 5 stars for Brandon. The third exciting young piece on Charlotte who should not be thrown directly into the sun, like, for instance, Miles Bridges, is Mark Williams, who just can't stay on the court. Williams played 43 games his rookie season and only 19 his sophomore year, which is a shame because he's one of the great physical specimens in the league. 7 foot tall, 7 foot 2 in shoes, with a 7'6.5" wingspan and a standing reach of 9'9", all of which he puts to use when he's actually on the court. A Lamelo Williams pick and roll is basically 2 free points. Just throw it up, the big man will find it. But it's happened on so few occasions that it's basically the basketball version of an eclipse. Williams has played so little that his impact on the team is basically theoretical, but he's managed to record career highs of 24 rebounds, 27 points, and 5 blocks across the 62 games of his career, and he's in the aforementioned ideal Charlotte lineup. Again, 50 games, please. Josh Green also joins his team after the NBA's first ever 6-team trade, and I don't know exactly why they did that, especially when they have Grant Williams, and Josh and Grant together in Dallas last year wasn't anything special. Ultimately, it's not a huge deal. He's a decent corner shooter, super athlete, plays with a lot of energy. He's Australian, which is why I'm talking about him, but really it's a bit of a sideways move in the end. I also like Salon, the rookie that they took with the number 6 pick, who could also be pronounced Saloon. Being an unknown French wing who just turned 19 and has huge upside, the question is, can he score? So he's already getting the Bilal Koulibaly comparisons, and hey, Bilal worked out. Another positive, they have a new coach, Charles Lee, the former finance bro and professional basketballer, who's one of Coach Bud's guys and was an assistant coach in Milwaukee and Boston in both of their title seasons. 2 very successful years, good hire. Eric Collins is also my favorite commentator in all of basketball. He makes even the most mundane moments enjoyable, and he especially makes the exciting moments hit another level. So I end up watching a lot of Hornets games regardless, just for Eric. So with me being so enamored with much of the Hornets' young talent, why are we talking about them on day 5? Well, they owe San Antonio their first round draft pick if it falls anywhere within the 15 to 30 range, and Charlotte keep the pick if it falls within 1 to 14, in which case they only owe San Antonio a 2026 and 2027 second rounder, which, what's a 2027 second rounder here, dear viewer? I'll give you one of mine. It puts Charlotte in a bit of a bind because they probably need another piece for this young core, all of whom are under 23 years old, and Cooper Flagg would be awfully nice on this team, but they haven't made the playoffs since 2016, and things are getting a bit depresso in Charlotte. There's every chance the decision is taken away from them and injuries derail their season again, in which case, play Salon at point guard and see if his 26% shooting on drives last season can be replicated in the league. Like I said, this can go right for Charlotte, and maybe the franchise is just so sick of losing that the pick doesn't matter, but I am going to err on the side of caution and experience and say, while it's hopefully the last time that the Hornets go there, it's another season in the lottery for Charlotte. Join me tomorrow for day 6, which, as at the time of recording, could be one of 3 teams. All right, bye.